Okay. So we're just going to do all the notes at once instead of breaking it into 2 videos like the other ones. So we're going to start out with finding the length of missing sides with the 45, 45, 90. What's really cool about these, there's not a lot of math that you have to do. If you just memorize the pattern, follow the pattern, and you don't have to do any math. Okay? So a 45, 45, 90 triangle is referred to as an isosceles right triangle. So it is referred to as an isosceles right triangle. It's an isosceles right triangle because if I have 2 angles that are the same, doesn't that mean I have 2 sides that are the same also? Yes. Because that's what isosceles is, 2 same angles, 2 same sides. All right. So in each 45, 45, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is the square root of 2 times as long as each leg. That sounds weird worded that way. In other words, what it means is the hypotenuse is the leg times the square root of 2. Okay, that's pretty much the only rule you have to remember with a 45, 45, 90. So the hypotenuse is the leg times the square root of 2. If it helps to remember, say the hypotenuse is the leg times the square root of 2. And we're going to leave our answers all in square roots, radical form, no decimals for this, so that we can get used to the pattern, okay? All right, all your answers will be written in simplest form, so remember, no perfect squares other than 1. You can't have any fractions under your radical, and the denominator cannot be a radical. So just like when we were reducing, same rules apply. So here is the steps. It looks like there's a lot of steps. There's really not. So it says label, find and label your hypotenuse. So obviously, which side is your hypotenuse? It's always across from what? The right angle. So when you're labeling your hypotenuse, you want to label your hypotenuse as x square root of 2. Okay, this is going to be your label. When it says find and label, I'm looking for the label for your pattern. Okay? Label your legs, x. I don't care what variable they're using. We're just going to kind of disregard their labels and put our labels so we can set this up and make it simple. Now it says set up an equation. Sometimes there will be an equation. Most time it's just going to be a pattern. And you're going to look for your pattern. So for example, here, they didn't give us any labels. They told me one thing. They tell me this side is 10. So the first thing I'm going to do, looking at the picture, I find my hypotenuse, and I'm going to label it x square root of 2. The other 2 sides are going to be called x. Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. So notice that my label and what's given, that means the label is equal to your given. So if my label is equal to the given, then what does that tell me? That x is 10. Well, if x is 10, then what's the length of this side? 10. Because isn't this side also x? That means this side is going to be, well, what is x?
10.
So this is 10 square root of 2. Done. So when they ask you for BC, you're going to tell me it's 10 square root of 2. So if you'll look at your formula chart, if you'll look under special right triangle section, you're going to see where it says, it'll say like 45, 45, 90. Do y'all see it? It's got a picture of your 30, 60, 90 and your 45, 45, 90, and it's labeled. So what I always do is I always say, okay, 45, 45, 90. Across from the 45 is my x. Across from the 45 is my x. Across from the 90 is my x square root of 2. So those are the labels that go for each angle. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to skip number 2 for a second. I'm going to go down here to number 3. So in number 3, find your hypotenuse and label it. X square root of 2. And then label your other 2 sides as x. All right. So what I notice is my label is equal to what's given, right? Okay. So think about this. If x square root of 2 is equal to 8 square root of 2, then I know for a fact that if I were to divide both sides by the square root of 2, it's going to cancel out, isn't it? So x is 8. So that means both of my sides are 8. So AB is 8. BC is given. I don't know why they're asking for that. I think they meant to ask you for AC. So change that to an 8 AC so that they're asking you for the legs, because I'm not real sure why they would ask you for what's given. So I think that's a typo. So basically what it boils down to is if your legs are 5, then your hypotenuse is 5 square root of 2. See how there was no work there be done there?
Yeah.
So if my legs are 12, what is my hypotenuse?
12 square root of 2.
12 square root of 2. Okay, does that make sense? If they give you the hypotenuse, 8 square root of 2, then that means your legs are 8. You have x square root of 2 over 2. Well, then that means these two are my x's, right? Because this side is my x square root of 2, so that means that x is the square root of 2 over 2. So you're just going to plug it in. So if I were to plug square root of 2 over 2 in for x, so this would be the square root of 2 over 2, and then we still have this square root of 2. Right? Because this is your x. We'll multiply straight across. What is the square root of 2 times the square root of 2?
4.
No.
Root of 4.
It's the square root of 4. What is the square root of 4? 2 over 2, which is 1. So that means that my hypotenuse is 1. So AC is 1. So every once in a while, you'll have to plug it in to this formula that I told y'all. Every once in a while, you will have to use this formula to plug x in. But as long as x is a number, you just insert it and keep going. Are y'all following?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's the one that works with the really cool pattern. What if I give you the hypotenuse? Like over here, I gave you the hypotenuse. See how you can see the square root of 2?
Yes.
See how you can see it? Okay. Well, here, you don't see the square root of 2, but it's there. You just don't see it. Okay, this is when it's going to require to think backwards. Okay, I'm going to show you how to work it, and then you're going to see the pattern, and you're going to see that there's no work. But I have to show you how it works first. So I know that this is x square root of 2. So the hypotenuse is x square root of 2. That is the given label. My sides are x. So what I do notice is that, okay, can y'all see still if I scoot this up?
Yeah.
All right. What I do know is that x square root of 2 is equal to 12. Well, just like over here, when x square root of 2 was equal to 8 square root of 2, the square roots of 2 canceled out because I could see them both. Well, if I do the same thing over here, notice now I have x equals. But what's the rule with square roots being in the bottom?
No square roots.
No square roots. So we have to rationalize. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom. So now I've got 12 square root of 2 over 2. Because remember, when you multiply a radical by itself, it's just the number. All right. So now I have 12 square root of 2 over 2. Well, what is 12 divided by 2? So 6 square root of 2 is your answer. So that means your legs are 6 square root of 2.
Which is half.
So what do you notice about this number compared to the 12?
Half.
It's half. So as long as you know the hypotenuse, but you don't see the square root of 2, divide by 2 and put the square root. So the hint or the shortcut, I'm going to put SC for shortcut, is divide by 2 and then multiply by the square root of 2, because that's what it says is 6 times the square root of 2. So this is your shortcut. So if your hypotenuse is 14, then what are the legs according to the shortcut?
7 square root of 2.
7 square root of 2. What if it's 100? So what if this were 100?
50 square root.
Then it would be 50 square root of 2. That's the pattern. Okay? All right, so let's do the other side. So it says, sketch the figure that is described. The length of the diagonal in a square is 32. Find the perimeter. So I have a square. The diagonal is 32. Well, if the diagonal is 32, isn't that my x square root of 2 side? And the sides are x? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, isn't this the same exact problem as this one here? Where you know the hypotenuse, but you don't see the square root of 2? What's the shortcut? So the shortcut is to divide by 2, then multiply by the square root of 2. So what is 32 divided by 2? 16, and then put the square root of 2. So that's how long each side is. So each side is 16 square root of 2. But what do they want me to find?
Perimeter.
The perimeter. So the perimeter is 4 times each side. So what is 16 times 4? 64 square root of 2. And what are inches? So 64 square root of 2 inches is my perimeter. Okay, number 6. Find the area of the figure. Okay, well, what do we know about area? I know area is length times width.
Oh, yeah.
That means I need to know the sides, right?
Yes.
Well, I know the hypotenuse. I know this is x square root of 2. So that means x square root of 2 is equal to 8. Well, since I don't see the square root of 2, what's the shortcut?
Divide by 2.
X square root by itself, it's just the number. That's the rule. So what's 16 times 2?
32.
So 32 inches squared is your area. All right, last one, and then we will do 30, 60, 90s. So it says a tipping platform is a ramp used to unload trucks. How high is the end of an 80-foot ramp when the tipping angle is 45? So you've got this platform that you drive up on, which is 80 feet. And then they raise it to be unloaded, right? So it says, how high is the end? So they're wanting to know this distance here if this angle is 45. Well, if this is 45, this one's 45. That's a given. So that means the height is the same distance as this, where this is now your 80 foot because they drove up and raised it. So if this is my x square root of 2 side, so x square root of 2 equals 80, then that means x is equal to 80 divided by 2, which is 40 times the square root of 2. So 40 square root of 2 feet is how high I have to raise it. Well, obviously, you're not going to walk up to some guy working at a warehouse or somewhere unloading trucks and tell him, hey, I need you to raise that 40 square root of 2 feet. So 40 square root of 2 is 56.59 feet. 56.59 feet. So you would tell him, hey, I need you to raise that. If you're being specific, you would say 56.59. And if you weren't being specific, you would say, hey, I need you to raise it close to 57 feet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.